Nakupenda zaidi na zaidi, kwa mioyo yetu hutaweza kubadili. You've got my world spinning like a wheel. Love so pure it doesn't need to conceal. Ooh baby, nakuita karibu, hold me tight kwa moyo na uhuru. In your arms I feel no sorrow. Leo, kesho, wala tena kesho. Tena na tena nakuona ndotoni. You're my sunrise, you're my morning coffee. Tusafiri na upendo bila mwisho. Through storms and sky, let our spirits flow. Wewe ni nyota ya maisha yangu, bright and shining, hakuna mwanga zaidi yako. Together we're a song, sasa na milele. Love grows louder, no we can sever. Ooh baby.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. I don't know what time it is where you are, but it's afternoon here. It's a nice, bright, happy, sunny day. I am enjoying the music way too much. In fact, I was wondering, do I want to put it off and start talking or not? So that's my favorite kind of music. I love Swahili music. I love love. So when you combine Swahili music and love, it doesn't get better than that. Tell us in the chat, good people, what's your favorite music? Welcome, Donna. Welcome, Maggie. Welcome, Kagali. Welcome, Bernard. Once again, nice to see you here. Welcome, Lynette, Alvin, Brian. Welcome. Tell us in the chat, what's your favorite kind of music? Let me see if there's anybody who has the same taste as me. Oh, yes, Bernard, I've seen you're joining in from Pioneer. Yes, Pioneer Insurance. Tell us a little bit more about that. You never know, your customers might be here. You might have a conversion this afternoon. We say mambo ni kujituma. So jituma in the chat. You never know, you never know. So I'm waiting to hear what your favorite music is, and then we kick off from there as we wait for others to join us. Hey, Bernard, you are a rumba and bongo flavor gentleman. Okay, I like that too. I like that. My rumba people's in the house. Yeah. Okay, rumba is represented. Bongo is represented as well. I can see you are an African man with African tastes. Who else? Tell us your favorite kind of music. What keeps your heart beating? What keeps you going? What speaks to your heart? You know, music is the language of the heart, language of the soul. So what keeps you going? Let me see one more person before we kick this show on the road. Who else? One more. I am waiting. I am sure you have something to share. You want to tell us what your favorite music is. What is it? What is it? Everyone is in rumba and bongo like Bernard. Let's see. Donna, you have sent us love. Does that mean love songs? What does that mean, Donna? What you like? I can see a heart beating there. Yeah. Okay, let's see. I'm just waiting for one more. You have put on your camera and you even want to tell us your favorite music by word of mouth. The chat is not enough. I can see the chat is not enough for you. What's your favorite music, Juguna? You look like a guy of Mogivi. Are you a Mogivi fan by any chance?
Please. Yeah, I'm not.
We have wrongly accused you, Juguna. You have denied. You have denied that Mogivi is not your thing. Mogivi
I have denied Mogivi completely with everything I have.
All right. Okay, we take it back. I wonder why they hate speech against Mogivi music. It is very nice, very nice. All right, let me share my screen. We can start this. You have really tickled me. Let me share my screen. We start. All right, here we go. We are in our question and answer webinar for customer experience, employee experience. We do this once a month. We listen to your questions, you send them in. We get an expert to answer them. We share knowledge. We ask ourselves hard questions. We improve our businesses. We improve our workplaces. We improve what it is we are doing so that we can do it better. We can do it seamlessly, because we are very convinced that customer experience and employee experience is what drives business, what drives government, what drives the social impact sector, what drives us entrepreneurs. And so if we get it right, it will all be right. And so we have asked you over time, what subjects do you want to hear about? What topics do you want to hear about? So we've talked about customer experience and tech. I think that was a very, very fast one. And we really dived into AI, tech, and all of that. And then we've also had a discussion around how do we handle challenging customer situations? How do we handle it when our customers have brought challenges that we need to overcome, we need to surmount? We talked about customer experience and selling, how customer experience is the key ingredient for business development. How do we sell? How do we convert using customer experience? We had a great guest. The last time we were talking about happiness at work and in business, we were talking about emotional intelligence. How do we handle that? How do we ensure that we handle our customers with emotional intelligence? And today, you asked us about the internal customer, the people that work in the business, the people that run business for us because we're not able to do this ourselves. Is it possible for us to have customer experience excellence internally? Internal customer experience excellence. Is this possible? How do we delight the internal customer, if at all? And so today, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce our speaker for the day, Edwin Moindi. What do I say about Edwin? Edwin is forever smiling. You see this $1 million smile on this poster. This is not a crocodile smile. It comes from the heart. It comes from the eyes. And Edwin is very passionate about people. He's very passionate about people. He loves to give of his knowledge, give of himself. He's forever giving, forever sharing the knowledge he has, the technical skills, expertise he has. He has a beautiful blog he writes and posts every week. You need to subscribe to it and just drink in the wisdom. He's a coach. He's an entrepreneur. He's a founder. He dabbles in the tech space, in the people development space, in the entrepreneurship space, in the leadership coaching space. I could go on and on about Edwin. Edwin also has authored fantastic books. Edwin, I hope you will tell us about your books. You know, when you're in the presence of an author, you must just acknowledge that. And as we say, leaders are readers and readers are leaders. So you can imagine this is beyond just reading and leading. This is up to and including authoring. And so we are happy to hear from you, Edwin, and we are here to sit at your feet and drink in your wisdom. Please say hello to the people and tell them 1, 2, and 2 before we get into our agenda for the day. Over to you, Edwin.
Thank you so much, Caroline. I think you have overdone the introduction. For a moment there, I was like, who are you talking about? Must be someone else. But thank you so much for making this happen, and on a monthly basis where people can come together, build a community where we are moving and growing as we should. I am here today to speak on specific matters, and I know there are thoughts around what should be done, but I would love this to be a conversation. And I know there are questions that were posed earlier, and we're going to maybe jump into them so that they can allow us to just start this off. Like Caroline has mentioned, one of the things that I love to say I am is an author, twice published. Hoping to release the 3rd book. The 2nd book is already sold out, but I'm hoping that when the 3rd book comes out, I'll make sure that each and every person here is able to know about it and pick it up.
Yes. Edwin, you know, I wonder how you're saying that you have overdone, and I'm here to tell these people how you're an award-winning Toastmaster. Please allow me to slap them with that one as well. So on top of all the great things I have said, I told you I know people I know people. And so, Edwin, such a fantastic thing to be in your circles. Let's jump into this, Edwin. We asked questions, we asked the teams, we asked the audience to ask questions and about the internal customer, about the employees, about having experiences internally with our people that would be able to drive business and have a great culture. And one of the questions that came almost in statement format. It was very cryptic. It said, delighting the employee means allowing them to get away with mediocre work, right?
Okay.
Question mark. Edwin, is that right? Tell us your thoughts.
So I think how the question has been framed says a lot also about what we believe delighting our employees is. Because I think there's a narrative around which has evolved over time. The customer is always right, and we should make sure that the customer is happy, and then the organization will thrive and make profits. But also there's another narrative that comes in that if you take care of your employee, then the customer will be satisfied. The question now begs to be answered is, what is this taking care of your employee? What does delighting your employee mean? And yeah, you know, if you give a person what they want, it doesn't guarantee that they'll be happy. You also have to know the psychology and how human nature operates. And the first thing that we need to arrive at is the self-awareness. If people are not self-aware, they'll look for things that will make them momentarily happy and then start to equate those things increasing in incrementals. And if they're not happy, they'll still blame the environment they're in and they'll want a different environment. That's the reason why people are hired and they keep having their salary increased, but they're disengaged.
Right.
So then we have to look at things like purpose. Purpose is really important. We also have to look at motivation, and not just extrinsic motivation, but the motivation that comes from within. For a long time, we know that in organizations, there was motivation 1, 2, and 3. If you look at a wonderful book written by Daniel Pink, he talks about drive, and it specifically talks about intrinsic motivation. So come with me. Let me just explain what this question could actually unfold into. And
Please, intrinsic motivation, big words, and big. I want to hear more about this. Tell us, please.
So when you look at the motivation of any person in this day and age, it revolves around 3 things. And the first thing is autonomy. The ability to have the power within yourself to say, you know what, I'm taking ownership. I'm taking ownership of the work that I'm doing. I'm taking responsibility. And sometimes in any culture, if you walk into a culture where people are naturally given the responsibility, it's easier for you to say, you know what, I'm going to take responsibility. But if you go into an environment where leadership have not given people the air or the room to become responsible, then that is a problem. So we turn into this environment where if the boss doesn't say something, Nia won't take responsibility. So it has to start from there. Can you create a room or an environment of autonomy building where people can actually take responsibility? The second thing is mastery. And mastery is where you ask, if someone comes into the organization, are they given room to grow? Can I be able to, for example, I know a lot of Gen Zs love gaming and all that. So there's the gamification of a job, for lack of a better word, where you're able to say, I started here, and at the end of the year, I am somewhere else. And after 2 years, I know I'm progressively increasing in the capacity that I have. So are there opportunities for growth for any person to be able to say that when I started this job, I could only do this, but after 3 years, this is how far I've come. That actually creates a level of satisfaction and engagement. The third thing and most important is purpose. A lot of organizations start and then it only becomes about the money. And there's nothing wrong with money. And yes, many organizations, the dollar sign profitability is important. But is there something that you can ensure that people are engaged with that allows them to get up and say, you know what, I feel like I belong to something greater than myself. And when you tie these 3 things together, what happens is that you find that people are more satisfied and more engaged with their jobs. Do you know statistically that many organizations, many employees find themselves disengaged precisely because of these three things. There's no autonomy, there's no level of growth. In fact, you see yourself in the same position and you're wondering, why am I here? Why am I even, okay, maybe it's for the money and I'm going to take care of my family, but I'm not growing. And then even when you ask yourself, what's the purpose of this? We're just making money, but are we helping anyone? Is there a greater purpose, mission that we are trying to accomplish? You have to help people find meaning. Part of that journey of finding meaning is going specifically to people and asking, what are your individual goals? Can I align your individual goals to the organizational goals so that you're able to even attach it to your growth and the opportunities for growth? And also, which is also important, constructive feedback. Are we able to build within the mechanisms of organization constructive feedback that is given repeatedly and in a measurable manner so that people can be able to say, you know what, organization, it's a habit. It's something that consistently is given constructive feedback.
Right. Edwin, you've said such important things. You're talking about autonomy, my sense of being able to own, my sense of being able to do, my sense of being able to grow the mastery, my sense of being able to have purpose and belonging at work, and being able to receive feedback and give feedback and having an environment where feedback is the order of the day. We say feedback is the breakfast of champions. As we in business, we say not even breakfast. This is lunch, it is dinner, it is uji, it is jugus, it's mayai boiro, it is every kind of meal. Feedback is not just breakfast, it's everything. But in the space of me, the entrepreneur, how will I tell my one staff member or my rider or whoever about growing and in the organization and goals? And it's sounding like a very corporate thing, my side hustle. Edu, how do I run with this?
So here's what you do. You ask this person, where do you want to go? It's a boda guy. So you ask him, where do you want to go? What do you want to achieve? He might tell you, I want to build a house for my mom.
Yeah.
Or I want to do something for my family. I'm trying to put together some money for my kids. And you have a conversation around how does that look like? Because those candid conversations can only be held if there's a way in which you have opened up the communication channel. So you're not trying to just give them money and you're saying, okay, you used to earn 10K, now I'm giving you 15, then I'm going to put to 20. You might actually give this person this money and they go and waste it. They don't have the capacity to hold money better, but you're giving them more. But if you understand their narrative, their challenges, the issues that they're grappling with, then you're able to attach things of mastery. Because mastery does not necessarily mean that he'll be a Nduthi guy forever. You might actually discover he has certain other latent abilities that could translate into the office. And someone starts growing within the office. How many times have we heard of narratives of someone who started in the back office and came and became the CEO? How was that possible? It's because someone saw and walked with them that journey. So that's the idea. And then even the purpose, aligning, here's someone who's your Nduthi guy, and then you say, you know what, we are trying to achieve this and this. And then now you know their goals. And then you align it and say, if you're able to do this and this, I can help you go further if you also assist me. And this is now your ability as the leader to portray a vision and clear enough so that even the person who's doing the most menial of labor tasks is able to associate with the organization at hand.
No, it does. It's making so much sense, Edwin, because you have spoken about, the KYC of know your customer. You've talked about KYC, know your employee. Where are they going? What do they want? What's in need for them? Why are they doing this job? What talents do they have? What is there beyond the work that they are doing? How do they see themselves growing with this institution, with you, with your business, with your hustle, and so on? And so I am really getting that. And I think that's such an important point. And we shouldn't downplay it just because we are not a big organization. It really is important all through. And this ties into another question that came that says, how can today's organizations protect themselves from exposure by employees to customers, especially on issues that are occurring where the staff take advantage of the shortcomings to expose failure. So here we are
Mm.
working together, and the employees are the ones causing the downfall of the institution by exposure and showing the side, the dirty, it's called dirty linen.
That's it.
Yeah, dirty linen. Yeah. What could people, this person has written a whole paragraph, they must be really going through something. What do you
Passionate
think?
about it.
Yeah,
Okay.
what do we do?
Okay, so here's the thing. Protection
Mm,
implies a closed mindset, for
yes,
lack of a better word. It means
yes,
they've done this, you've done something against me, now I need to protect myself. So
yes,
it's you against me.
yes.
Therefore, what it simply means is that the employee has become ni kama amekuwa adui. Wako
Mm,
pale na mimi niko hapa.
mm,
When in actual sense, what you need to have is a unitary unit where, you know, the same way that your hands operates with the same favor as your mind and everything else, it's a unit. It operates together. So this then takes us back to human nature. If I feel like I can't trust you, it's very hard for me to allow you into certain secrets. So it becomes something around, can we be able to build trust again? And you as the leader, basically the organization moves based on the clip of the leader.
right.
You have to create a culture where employees feel valued, feel heard, especially being heard. People just want to be heard.
Right.
Like I complained last month, what has happened? Nothing has happened. I keep complaining. Those are just fanya kitu. It's just the same narrative month by month. You become frustrated. And what do? You lash out. And where are you lashing out? A customer.
Right.
So the thing then becomes, is it possible to create a culture that is trust-oriented? And when I say culture, let's go back to the 101 of culture. Culture is basically my interaction with you as an organization. It's the character of the organization. How do you build character? It's based on habits. How do you build habits? Things that you repeat over and over and over again. What are your rituals? What is that ritual that you've created as an organization to build trust? When you're in meetings, when you meet people early in the morning, as the leader, how do you convey trust? You have to go back to that.
Right.
Do people trust you as the leader? Or is it like, the leaders are doing their own thing, us will do our own thing. So it's us versus them. And remember, as human beings, our ego is one of the most important things that leads us. And ego simply says this, them versus us. That's how we feed ego.
Right.
Wadozi versus Sisi. So because they don't care about us will live our own life. And when we're interacting with customers, in fact, customers will start to hear, oh, you know, our leaders are wrong. Oh, you need this organization. So you separate yourself. So build trust is one. Foster that open communication. Allow for the voices that are simmering internally in your organization to come out. Address those shortcomings, because sometimes an employee might think that they know, but they don't know because your communication is not open.
Right.
You've not allowed them to have, you don't have trust enough for them to know the things that are going wrong.
Right.
So what happens is that they're still supposed to operate effectively and serve the customers effectively, but they don't know. So address those shortcomings proactively. Ensure that you're able to bring them in. Bring them in. Not just that, because open communication is important, addressing those shortcomings is important, but also training them to know that they are there as a representative of the company. They need to shine a positive light of the company.
Yeah.
They need to be able to, yes.
Sorry, go ahead.
So portray that positive aspect about the organization. But before they can reach there, remember there's investment that you have to put behind the scenes. Create a trusting environment, foster that open communication, address those shortcomings, and then train them. Don't go for training, and then when you say, okay, do you have any feedback? The first thing they talk about is, you guys we don't even trust you. So you even run away from that feedback because you know it will open a can of worms. Because you never address those wounds.
Yeah, wounds. I'm just indeed there are wounds, my brother. Wounds exist. By the time me as the team member, as the staff, I'm going to badmouth my employer, I am
Yes.
wounded. I am
Yes.
truly wounded. And so that
Yeah.
environment of trust and open communication that you're telling us and you're exhorting upon us to keep on building is really important. I think even we, the staff, we, the employee, the more I badmouth my employer and I'm still there, it's self-defeating. It's
Yes.
like I am causing my company or my the organization I work in or the hustle I have to fall, and yet I am in it. Because there's no way me going to badmouth and to get customers to join me in the badmouthing can be building in any way, and yet I am there. I'm the one who has to
Yes.
grow there. I want more salary from here. I want the brand to be built. I want the association with my name when I say I work for Edwin and company to be good and to open doors. But if I am the same one doing these things, then it is I need to call myself to some sort of meeting behind some sort of tent. So trust behind the scenes, open communication. Yeah, you're saying something?
So, but remember, toxic environments are predicated on what the leaders are doing. It's not purely about things that are happening at the ground floor. It's at the penthouse.
Yes.
So manage the penthouse.
Yes.
I think the most important thing is if this is your organization and you're running it,
Yes.
before you point fingers, check yourself first.
Check yourself.
Check yourself first. Get that feedback from your employees. Get to know what's not happening right, and then address those. It might be hard, but it's a wound that needs to be taken care of, as opposed to allowing it to become this open wound where it is being stabbed by the people you most trust or supposed to trust as your employees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Food for thought. Manage the penthouse. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Usually when we're thinking of penthouses, we are thinking of, great scenery, top of the building, living having a skyline view and all of this, but you are bringing us back down to earth. Manage the penthouse. We shall manage the penthouse and see how to ensure that our internal customers and internal customer experience is delightful. There's a question here that's a little counter that and it's talking about how do we protect, delightful customer experience means I feel protected, because to have the autonomy, the mastery, the sense of belonging and purpose, I must feel safe. I really must feel safe. So how do we protect our team? How do we protect our employees from manipulation and blackmail from customers? You have said today the customer is always right. If we take that, it means that I'm taking my customer's side and not my employee side. How do I protect my people, Edwin?
Okay, so let's start from the inside going outward, because inside is where you start off, not outside. And here's the wonderful expression. Any culture that is built has artifacts. That you may go into any government institution and see corruption free. And those are signages, artifacts that are thrown out there. But more importantly is the culture inside. What are you fostering in terms of even an employee? Once they're treated in a certain way, they know someone has their back.
Yes.
For example, if you have a child and they go into a school and they're bullied, if at home things are okay, they know who will support them. They know they have a family that will out and out go and fight for them. But if you have an organization where people, once the customer says something and bullies them, they're afraid to even raise it up, there's an issue there. Right. So the first thing that you need to build up is a culture of respect and accountability. Leadership should model this. You should not mistreat your people and expect that when someone else mistreats them, it's different.
Yeah.
Treat them with respect.
Yeah.
Regularly just create this atmosphere where people can understand that there has to be respectful behavior, and then everyone is held accountable for misconduct internally.
Yes.
And already that becomes a culture. And remember, culture is the way people will interact with you and expect. So if you are an employee and you're in an environment where you're respected and you're held accountable, and someone comes and insults you, already there's a boundary that has been set.
Yes.
So we need to start from there. And then the second thing is empower your employees to take action. So if someone comes and even if it's some deviant behavior, sexual or
Yes.
whatever it is, they need to
Yes.
be able to know that without fear of reprisal, I can walk up to my supervisor or the manager and things will be handled.
Yes.
Why? Because I, as the employee, can raise my voice and I can be known and I can be counted. So that's a very important thing. Empower your employees to take action. How does that happen? Make sure that those support mechanisms are there. Make sure that there's training. During training programs, you're able to empower employees to know what is considered right and what is considered wrong, how to even engage customers who come in a certain way, and segue them into a more trusting, more friendly environment, or in a way that, for example, someone can come and they're angry. How do you understand how to balance their anger and diffuse it? Because that's also conflict management, negotiation. How can you be able to understand that and then just diffuse it and make them turn into something else? Those are skills that most people naturally don't have. So find ways in which you can train your people to have that. And then also establish those policies. Policies are important. We may say that anything goes, but if it is written in policy, this is what anti-harassment is, this is what anti-bullying is, this is what we expect, and this is the boundary. That also helps quite a bit, especially later when that has to be corrected. And then, of course, if it's a call center or any other environment, those support mechanisms, counseling, all those are important, because you might be at a call center and 20 of the calls that you're receiving, 15 of them are bullies.
Yes.
They're very aggressive.
Yes.
So you know, in a certain to a certain extent, you need to be able to say, you know, I can drop this call and there'll not be any reprisal. But at the same time, also, there were 3 or 4 words that came out that didn't feel right to me. I can also go to a counselor who I can sit down with and decompress.
Right. I really love the mental health angle of it, because you can feel bullied, manipulated, downtrodden by customers. And if the institution, the business, the hustle is like always thinking about the customer only and not thinking about the internal customer, it can really take a toll. You are back to the penthouse story of the culture must be set at the top. There must be zero tolerance for things like this, especially where you can see that this is just out and out bullying. Yeah, this is out and out manipulation by the customer. And sometimes, you know, the way we say, Edu, that management reserves the right of admission. Can we do that? Can we just say, no, this customer is not for us? Can we just do that, Edwin, or will be taken as a bad brand?
You see, the crazy thing is that sometimes we go for short-term advantage and profits.
Yes.
And we entertain people who are loathsome, and you couldn't even entertain them in other ways. But then what we lose along the way are employees observing and seeing what is acceptable behavior. And slowly what that does is that it starts to separate you versus them. The leaders want us to make a profit. They don't care about us. But when you come as one, what tends to happen is that even as an employee, when I look at and see an opportunity, I will surely double charge my efforts towards it when you take care of me. And not in the sense of delight, the one we saw previously, where it's just, I'm going to pay you. Just do your thing, I'm going to pay you. No. Understand me, understand my journey, understand where I want to go. And then be behind me, support me in the fact that I am spending a lot of my day in your institution. I'm working for you for a lot of time in a given day.
Right.
So those are the things that we need to consider.
Yeah. You know, Edwin, how sometimes leadership is so unaware of this. I know I left a very good job. My boss was toxic from here to kingdom come. I just abandoned the job into nothing. You know, no job waiting for me, nothing. But I couldn't handle it anymore. So sometimes the person allowing toxicity to permeate, allowing customers to bully the staff, allowing for all of these things might be totally unaware. How do we raise to awareness leadership that they need to create a culture where this is not acceptable and internal customer delight is important? How do we do that? Yeah.
So that's an interesting question, but it points back to being able to understand self. And I'm sorry, most times, most times the biggest concern with all of us who are working is self-awareness.
Okay.
We want to make the dollar, we want to make the money, we want to go out there and be seen, heard, and appreciated. But
Yes.
when you take a moment to understand that as many times as you're out there and trying to forage and make money and be successful, you
Yes.
also have people around you that you have to support and help. But before you get there, know yourself. Jijue.
Jijue.
Jijue. Self-awareness is about understanding your emotionality, understanding your emotions. When is it, when I have this emotion, how do I behave? What is my action? And sometimes when I behave this way, is it just for me to get validation, or is it to put someone down? Am I acting rightly or wrongly? Am I lifting my people up when I'm angry, or do I go into a rant? Do I even see myself? Do you remove yourself from the emotions that you're feeling at that moment, or those negative thoughts, because you're stressed? And a lot of times environments are stressful. I mean, work is stressful, but you can either turn stress positive or negative, because there is positive and negative stress. Eustress is actually good stress. And you find that organizations that see challenges as opportunities have a handle on stress. They're able to see, you know what, we can do this and this. And even if there's a failure, we celebrate failure. Come back, you're part of the team. Go and do as many times as you can. Let's do this better. When someone has that backing behind them, they're able to do 5 times more, even 10 times more what you anticipate. So that safety, that security, that trust is important. But leaders have to know that what lifted you to the top will not necessarily sustain you there, might not even build the organization that you desire to have, might actually destroy you. And how do most people get there? Subterfuge, bad mouthing, doing this and that, being more self-absorbed.
Yeah.
So those are things we need to consider. But check yourself.
Yeah.
If you have never gone for counseling, never gone to a life and habits coach, maybe it's the first time you need to go and sit and say, you know what, nataka kujitambua, kujijua. What can I do to make myself better?
Yes.
And
yes.
to be more effective as a leader.
Yeah. I want to come and work for you, Edwin. Ati, go fail as many times as you want. Come back. We learn the lessons. We see the opportunities.
Manage failure. Not.
I don't know. I don't know about that. Going to fail many times in the environments we are in. Usually, you know, the big stick will come and flatten us. And before we get into our last question, before we open the floor and see if there's any questions coming through, the last question I want to re-angle it. The person is asking about happiness at work and saying, is it really possible to please employees? Is this a myth? Can employees really be happy at work? Because you know, Adrian, there's a lot that goes around, and there's a saying how work is not your family. Yes. Please just go there, work, and leave. In fact, people say that so much, and I keep wondering, because we spend so much time at work, in the hustle, with our employees, with our colleagues, with the person we are working together with. What's your take? Is it possible at all, Edwin?
Okay. So normally we have misconstrued happiness in many ways, but I'll just stick to the corporate environment and say happiness is not the perks, it's not the pay rise, it's not just it's not about just satisfying people for the moment, momentary satisfaction. Like you'll say, you know what, we're going to have a party this year, and everyone is like, yeah, okay, so they're happy, and you're like, okay, good, that's happiness. Let's get down. It's something that is more persistent. It's something that has to be genuine. It's not something that you have an afterthought of. It's a continuous conversation. And part of that happiness is motivation. I mentioned earlier, the autonomy, the mastery, the purpose, that has to be set out right. Because an engaged person, someone who's truly immersed in something that makes them feel like they are worthy, allows them to be happy. But that also links to the productivity. It links to better decision making. It actually allows you to have higher retention. for the lack of any better word. But here's a strange thing. Have you ever been in an environment where it's sort of, it feels like high stress,
Yes.
but tie those three things: you're given autonomy, you're growing massively, and there's a clear purpose because the vision is sold consistently by the leader. And you wonder why you were there for 5 years. Time just went like, and there was no time when you rose up and said, you know what, I want to live here. You're like, I want to be here. In fact, I want this high stress because we are doing astronomical things. And then you go to another environment where you're asking, oh, you know, let's put some ping balls here. Let's do some things here. Let's have more parties. Let's do, and you wonder why people are quitting after a couple of months. You've increased their salary. You've paid them well. Why is it that they're quitting? So it goes back to, are you growing? Do I feel like I'm growing under you? Are you like that leader who, when people turn behind you, they're like, yes, if we follow this person, we will climb the mountain and go beyond. I'll give you a good example, and allow me to quote from the Bible.
Yes.
David had 400 men who came to him. They were poor, broke, dusted, busted, any word you can use negative. And then what did he turn them into? 30 supermen. Why did they follow him? Because he had a vision. And his vision was to become a king. No one would even have said he would ever become a king, but his vision was so strong and so bright and so intense that people followed him. So what kind of a leader are you? Are you visionary? Are you just chasing the hustle?
Yeah.
Are you that kind of
Yeah.
person?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I want to chase that astronomical growth you talked about.
Exactly,
I don't want to chase
exactly.
hustle. I want to chase astronomical growth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then we are the ones who are doing our demerit to the people we have hired. If you're just chasing the hustle, next month there's another person who's chasing the hustle better than you. So let me go to that person.
Yeah.
But guess what? If you are chasing something that is audacious, people will rally around you, especially those who want to have meaning. So do that, and then recognize and appreciate your people. It's important for any person. If you have, let's say, 5 people, each and every person, you know what they're out to. You know what they've done well. Appreciate them in word, in small. You don't have to buy them big gifts that, yeah, once a year I'm going to give it. Small nuggets of appreciations that are tied to your rituals. Every morning when you're having a meeting on Monday, appreciate this and that person. Say, last week ulifanya hivi na ilikuwa poa sana. Thank you for that. I appreciate you. That means also that you as a person has to change in the things that you appreciate and the things that you do. So your people become front and center. You're observing them. You're looking at how to improve them. You're giving them opportunities to improve. And that becomes the culture that you build, inclusive and supportive of everyone that you have.
An inclusive and supportive culture that rides on appreciation, listening, feedback, and that is premised on audacious astronomical growth and goals. I'm loving. Those are quotable quotes and tweetable tweets. We are still stuck on tweets. I don't know how you can say Xable X's or what to say in that space. And you've talked a lot about leadership, Edu. Let me just finally ask. I know I've said finally, but let me finally ask. What about toxic, just experiences with my colleagues that are not delightful at all? At all. So the leader is good. Okay, yeah, fine. I'm following you to the ends of the earth. You're my David. I've seen where we are going, but my colleagues are just backstabbers. They enjoy all this politicking at work and all of those things. How do I handle that? Because this happens a lot.
So there are two sides to the coin. Is it as the leader or is it as an employee? Because there are two answers to this.
Answer both. Please just answer both this, Tafadhali.
Okay. So you see, the person who models a culture is the leader.
Okay.
The person who will say, you know what, this is what we entertain and this is what we don't.
Yes.
If you have seen certain things that do not work well or augur well with the organization, bring them to focus. Have conversations, candid conversations about them. Anything that is not brought to light could actually be affecting your culture negatively and you don't know. So for example, people are toxic in the environment, but you've never, as the leader, spoken about toxicity.
Yes.
You've never allowed that to be front and center of a discussion point of how and what you want as the culture. and how people should take care of each other. Okay, let me just use a model. It's called the dysfunctional organization. And now we are going to use a counter to build a functional organization.
Okay,
Because
okay, go ahead.
you've talked about toxicity. So let's look at what builds a toxic environment versus what can nurture a less toxic, actually a positive working environment.
Mhm.
And it starts from the bottom, from trust. People who badmouth and do all these things were nurtured to do that because they don't trust each other.
Mm.
If we are 5 people and all of us trust each other and one person is badmouthing everyone else, do you know what? We'll kick them out.
Okay.
So build a trust environment. How do you build a trust environment? Make sure that everyone can feel safe. Because if wewe ni beste wa mdozi, so you're taken care of in a certain way, it means that there's favoritism.
Yes.
Yeah? Treat people equally. When you're having a meeting, let even the most silent have this feeling like they can speak.
Mm.
So create that. But above it, just slightly, is conflict management. We all run. We abhor conflict. But conflict
Yes.
is one of the most powerful ways of allowing people to air their concerns, because you and I are different. There are things that you love to do. There are things that I love to do. There are things that when you do better. There are things that when I do better. But if we are
Yes.
supposed to do the same thing together, how do we come into agreement?
Mm.
Conflict. And conflict has to be managed well. So that opens us up to open discussion, create an environment where there's open discussion,
Yes.
and an environment where there's constructive feedback. Si kusema, Carol, I can't even talk about Carol. She's such a toxic person. And we throw that word around, toxic. When you buy, no. Can we have constructive feedback where I'll tell you, just like Toastmasters, I liked your speech. This was good. But there's this other element that I didn't like. When you bring it to the open, where everyone is able to contribute, then you kill the backstabbing, backroom conversations. And remember, gossip is an element of ego construction. Why? Because the ego always wants to seem better than another. So when someone is gossiping or badmouthing, they want to feel better than someone else who possibly is doing better than them or doing work better than them. So constructive feedback, open discussion, that's conflict. The third level is commitment, clarity of decisions. If the boss walks into the room and says, you know what, I want you guys to go into the field and make sure that you've doubled your profits, and then leaves the room. So it's up to you to decide what he has said. So every person will come up with the understanding. As a leader, be clear. Be clear so people know how to form or how to fall behind you with commitment. Decisions begin and end from a point of clarity. The less clear you are, the less you'll find commitment. So if you find that as a leader, you're speaking and you're not getting commitment, maybe you need to go back to how you are expressing yourself. How clear are you?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the other level. And then accountability, because a lot of times you find that that's the Mdozi's favorite. Don't touch that person. So they're not accountable for the action. And then you are expected to work miracles. And because you're working miracles and then they're not expected to do anything, they start speaking behind your back. Huyu anajifanya, huyu anafanya kazi hata kushinda wengine. Sijui ni. Accountability. Clear standards of expectations and what to be done. And then the last element is results. Because if you don't have trust, if you're not able to build conflict management properly, if you're not showing commitment, because people are not showing commitment because you're not making clear decisions. If people are not accountable, then results, it's neither here nor there. Today you'll have good results, next year bad results. And then guess what? Because results are not measured well, you'll find heroes. Heroes in an organization, meaning someone who decides to take charge of everything and do everything beyond the realms of the team.
Mm-hmm.
So it becomes about personal success rather than collective goals.
Yes.
So if we take care of this, you'll find that toxicity also will be unpacked.
Right. You have built this house. I've tried to build that house in my head. I think you will have to draw this house and send it to us because it sounds like a house that is built on firm foundation and not on quicksand. And it sounds excellent because it has built itself into a pyramid of results. And that's what we want for our businesses, for our hustles, as government, as NGO, public benefits organization, as it's called now, social impact. We just want results to make a difference for the people for whom we set up. I think we shall look at the comment section. There's one question which I think we have time for. Many good things coming here, Edwin. Masterclass, I agree. Masterclass. KYE, know your employee. Sounds like the leader should be the employee's chief cheerleader. There are good take-homes here, Edwin. You can see that. This is a Toastmaster. The vocabulary, I told you people,
join Toastmasters. Come on, Toastmasters, join.
Right. So in a minute or so, Edwin, there's Proscovia has a very brilliant question here. She was in a training. Employees were categorized into 4: high skill, high drive, high skill, low drive, low skill, high drive, low skill, low drive. And there was an adjective for each group. And what has puzzled her beyond measure is that they were saying that they should let go and cut off of low skill, low drive. Is this so? Are these detractors and distractors? Is this so? What are your thoughts, Edwin?
Okay, so here's the thing. When I go back to purpose, and I coach individuals, and I also do leadership training for organizations. Now, here's, let's say, one person who comes to me and says, you know what, my organization wants to let me go. Why? Because they feel I'm a detractor. I'm not doing my job. So the question becomes, are you in alignment with your purpose? Or are you in an environment because you're fearful of, if you lose the job, you'll go into the world and not function because you don't have a salary? Are you disengaged in the job that you're in? Because in any organization, you'll find that there are people who already are connected to the purpose of that organization and they shoot off.
Yeah.
And if you take that person to a different environment, they'll become the most bored, most disconnected, disengaged person. And it's all good and dandy. So I'll go back to this person and ask, take time to discover that probably either you're misaligned in a departmental level, because there are people, when they move to a different department, they might actually find themselves. Or it could be that you probably need to change place, location, or you need to leave that organization and look for something else. But here's what the main problem for most people who are employed. And by there, I used to be employed a long time ago. It took me a lot to quit my job, but it has been, this is 12 years now, and I am very happy where I am. But here's the thing. People will say, I cannot quit my job because I don't know how I'll make money tomorrow. Yet you show up at work and you're not showing up. You're disengaged. Your mind is not there. It's fear. You're surviving on a fear model, fight or flight. And even when you're interacting with people, you're not engaging, you're not happy. Because when you're excited and you're happy about what you do, you release a vibe, an energy where it attracts people. You can cope, you can work together in a team, and you can do so much more. So it goes back to that.
Right. You release a vibe. I like that. I want to be releasing these vibes. I want those vibes for myself and for everyone in my life and in my circles. You're saying, but what?
But here's the other thing. I think also organizations have the responsibility of, if you hired someone and they've been working for you and now you want to release them, it's actually who's doing wrong by not empowering them right for their next cycle in their life. Because if someone came to you and after a while you realize, maybe this person wasn't meant to be a salesperson, help them understand where they're supposed to be placed in life, and they'll be more effective. So I think also that releasing of people, what's the right word for disengaging, separation, that process. There are certain organizations that do it really well, to a point where someone will go and do their thing and come back and actually congratulate HR and the organization for allowing them to go out and really discover themselves.
Oh, wow. We wished for that for ourselves and our lives, that we disconnect and we separate and people are still coming back to thank us and that the relationship is not damaged or injured. I think somebody else says, thank you, Edwin and Caroline, this is a masterclass. Indeed it is. We need to continue this conversation. Let me put the WhatsApp link on the chat. Please join us there where we have these conversations and more. Edwin, I need your last words before we let you go. We have a minute. It's been amazing. You have really told us how people are assets. That's what I'm taking home. That in my P&L, in my accounting documentation, where I list assets, I will list people there. I will not list them as liabilities. I will list them as great assets. What's your parting shot before we list people?
So my parting shot is, number one, jitambue, get to know yourself.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter if you're an employee or an employer, get to know yourself. When you get to know yourself, it will be easy to interact with the organization more and even know whether you're in the right place or the wrong place. It will also help you with your motivation, knowing that the motivation, the intrinsic motivation that I mentioned earlier, is actually your own responsibility. Although we say the organization can do a couple of things, it's your own responsibility. Find yourself, find the purpose that you need to be connected to, and you'll find your happiness. Because at the end of the day, whatever we say, as human beings, we want to be happy.
Absolutely. We want to be happy. I want to be happy. Edwin, please throw in the chat your number, your email, how we can find you. Good people, it is 2 on the dot. We promise you are going to have a fun time, a fantastic time. Time flies when you're having fun. Jitambue, if you want happiness, if you want to live and thrive and have good vibes. My take home is good vibes. May we be the givers of good vibes and the receivers of good vibes. Let us release you now onto your Monday. No Monday blues for us. Us is Monday full of good vibes. Good vibes. Thank you so much, Edwin. It's been an absolute pleasure. You must come back. You must come back. We've not begun to scratch the surface. Good people, thank you very much. Have a beautiful, beautiful rest of the day, rest of the week. Wishing you good vibes. So goodbye and good vibes. See you all. Bye. Thanks for coming.
Nakupenda zaidi na zaidi, kwa mioyo yetu hutaweza kubadili. You've got my world spinning like a wheel. Love so pure it doesn't need to conceal.